Hello everyone. I sort of wanted my last video to be my last video, like where I do something like this and it's not like fully edited like a scripted video or a collab, whatever. Then I got on Twitter and I saw this hilariously bad sort of plot hole thread about Itachi and Obito on Twitter. The guy's @ is on the screen. I'm not gonna bother to like blur it out or whatever. His @ is Space Cowboy Dom. And although this may be an exaggerated title, he claims this is the largest plot hole in anime and manga, and it's the dynamic of Itachi and Obito. And I skimmed through the thread a little bit. I didn't read every part of it, so I guess once we get down towards the bottom, you know, maybe he's like completely changed sides or something like that. But yeah, I guess we can just get started with the first message here. He says, to start this thread, the two Uchihas have opposite goals and are each other's biggest interference for most of the story. Who will win in a fight to the death is how I'll start the thread, but regardless who wins doesn't matter to the main point being made. Who win, so I guess he's just saying like who wins between the two doesn't matter. Is like the whole goal here. He just has like an issue with their dynamic. The favorite to win is definitely Obito, so we'll start with him. I disagree with this. Like the favorite to win is definitely not Obito. I think I ran a poll on like who people thought would win between Itachi and Obito, and Itachi won. Now I'm not saying my poll counts for everyone, right? But you know, it is some form of evidence that maybe Obito isn't who everyone wants to win the battle. After the aftermath of the invasion from Orochimaru, Konoha is already left in shambles. It is a perfect opportunity for Obito and Pain to strike while Naruto is still young and enemies are already weakened. So the issue with this is that Obito and Itachi made a pact, right? In exchange for Itachi joining the Akatsuki, Obito is not to attack Konoha or go after Sasuke. And Obito honors this pact up until Itachi's death, because when Itachi dies, he said there's nothing in my way anymore and I can finally go after Konoha. And not only that, I have a big issue with people saying that since a character doesn't act in the most efficient way possible, the plot is bad or something like that, because people themselves don't even act in the most efficient way possible. Like, you can't always do things the most efficient, and I'll get into this a bit later because I'm trying not to spoil like some upcoming videos, but Obito is not who this guy thinks he is. Obito's a completely different character than how a lot of people interpret him. But yeah, like I said, I'll get into that probably a little bit later. This would be a good time for them to strike, but Obito has a pact that he's honoring with Itachi to not go after Konoha. Why wouldn't Obito invade at the best opportunity? His goal of capturing the 9 tails would be complete. People say it's because Itachi was still alive and wouldn't allow it, which brings up the question, why not just kill Itachi? Probably because he didn't want to. Like I said, I agree. This is the best opportunity for Obito to invade Konoha, without question. It's not like he couldn't just invade it at any time. Like even when Hiruzen was there, Obito could have invaded and just like won easily. But he doesn't want to kill Itachi. I mean, this sort of goes back to what I just said about characters not always acting in the most efficient way possible. But people don't take into account like these are actual characters made. Like it's supposed to be a verse you're like looking at, and you're like looking at the characters make these specific actions or whatever. These characters can have wants and shit, right? Like an answer I give people sometimes is like why Obito didn't just make 2 holes in his mask or something like that. Like what if Obito just thinks the one-eyed mask looks cool and that's why he's wearing it? Like these are people, or they're supposed to be people. They're obviously fictional characters, but they're supposed to be people. Like they have human minds and whatnot. And on top of this, Obito is kind of lazy. Obito doesn't do things like this because he's a nihilist. He doesn't care about reality. He thinks like basically life is pointless because he wants to make this whole new reality or whatever. Being a nihilist, like sometimes I remember when Jiraiya is about to fight Pain and Jiraiya is like theorizing that someone controlled the Nine Tails, and he makes the hypothesis that it's Madara during the attack on Konoha 16 years ago. And we get a flash to Obito, and Obito's just in the final valley just chilling on Madara's head. Like, what are you doing? Go capture some Biju. Like, I think we can all agree Obito, like, he can teleport, and he's the strongest person in the verse for a very long time. He could have teleported to each and every village, kidnapping Biju, genjutsuing them, and or killing them. And he doesn't do that. It's because he's just a lazy piece of shit. And that is all there is to it. There's nothing else more than that. Like, this whole idea that villains need to act in the most efficient way possible for the story to be good, or the heroes need to do that, is just illogical. People don't act that way. So yeah, let's move on. Doing so would allow Obito to obtain dual EMS and guaranteed victory of capturing Naruto, destroying Konoha. After that, well, Obito wins. There won't be anyone to stop him. The story doesn't happen. That's the first side of the plot hole. Now, the definition of a plot hole, I looked this up. Like, the definition that Google gives anyway, which is Oxford language, is like inconsistencies in the story that contradict like previously established logic or something like that. I don't agree with that definition of a plot hole because of the negative connotation that the word plot hole has in the anime community. If you don't know what a connotation is, connotations are essentially not exactly what a word means. That's a denotation. Connotation is how a word makes you feel. So, for example, if I were to call someone homophobic, right, that term has negative connotation despite what the word actually means, right, which I won't get into. Whatever the word actually means, if I call you that, I'm probably not congratulating you for something, right? So the word plot hole is always seen as something bad, when in reality you can basically chop up almost everything to be a plot hole because the definition is so vague. So I like to make my own definition of a plot hole, which is it's a hole in the plot that can't be explained by virtually anything. There's no way to reason it out. I given some examples of like Dragon Ball before, but I don't want to get too caught up on this. I just think that this isn't a plot hole. All this is he disagrees with the character's actions and he's just calling it a plot hole. Anyway, about Obito obtaining dual EMS, that I don't think that that's true. Obito, it's sort of implied that to get EMS anyway, there needs to be this sort of compatibility factor between you and the person you're getting the EMS from, like close blood ties, like blood relatives. So like we see Madara and his brother, he gets his eyes, he obtains EMS, and then Sasuke and his brother. Obito and Itachi have no known relation outside of both being Uchiha clan members. So I highly doubt that putting his eye in would have given him EMS. And it doesn't even seem like that's something Obito wants. Like, Obito doesn't even need EMS. Obito, at this point in the series, he doesn't even really fight. He just chills and gives pain orders. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's not like this is a bad thing by any means. It's just how Obito acts. But let's scroll a little bit more in the thread. For the other side, what if Itachi could kill Obito? There's already dialogue that Obito implies Itachi could have killed him if he wanted to as well. Just a few panels after Itachi did try to kill him with the Amaterasu. So I'll pull up this game here. This is actually the manga reader translation, but Viz says sort of the same thing, and I like to use Viz as like a as a translator instead of these random manga websites. But Obito does say if he didn't, he'd be dead right now. The secret he's probably talking about is the fact that he had Izanagi or another Sharingan. Because if you look at Obito, even all of us, right? I'm sure when he unveiled his mask and he had another Sharingan under there when he was fighting Konan, we were probably all surprised, right? If you look at Obito, like Itachi is probably doing, you see only one Sharingan, right? So Itachi's like, okay, you know, you can kill him easily with the Amaterasu shot. Obito is probably saying that if he didn't have that secret, maybe Itachi would have installed 2 Amaterasus in Sasuke or something like that to get him again. So yeah, because he does say he set things up with the sight of his Sharingan, blah 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 blah. So yeah, I mean, I just don't think this is a good point for like Itachi maybe killing Obito. Like, okay, we know Amaterasu can get the job done, cool, but even in that moment that it happened, even if you don't want to say Obito was off guard the whole time, right, at least in a conventional sense, Obito is off guard. Because think about it like this, imagine, and this is like the world of Naruto, right, you're talking to a guy and then his dead brother's unique magical eye pattern pops up and his eye starts bleeding. You're probably gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, he probably didn't know what was going on. And then immediately following that, he got hit in the shoulder. So he did react a bit, and he didn't even react with his Kamui, right? Like, he was so shocked. He reacted the wrong way, because Sasuke is looking at his eye, and then the Amaterasu spawns on his shoulder. So Obito tried to dodge like left, and the Amaterasu hit where his head used to be, right? So Obito's so shocked, he's not even using Kamui. He's just like trying to dodge normally. Like, when does Obito do that? Never. So yeah, I hate this point in the Itachi versus Obito debate. Like, I don't want to comment on who I think would actually win that, because I do think it's kind of a weird topic. Like, I think it's Obito favoring, but there's like some good arguments you can make for Itachi. But this is like horrible evidence, in my opinion anyway, to say that Itachi could just kill Obito. So yeah, I think we're getting towards the end here. Yeah, okay, so regardless of who wins, the point is still clear. Itachi would have stopped the plans of the Akatsuki and saved the world. Why didn't he? This isn't his plan. This is not Itachi's plan. Itachi's plan is to die and have Sasuke beat him so that Sasuke is seen as a hero. It is not to stop the Akatsuki and save the world. That's why Itachi didn't do it. Read Naruto. That's all I could tell Mr. Space Cowboy Dom. Reread the series. Just because there are people in Naruto that don't act the way you specifically want them to, it doesn't make their actions bad, or it doesn't make their character bad, or it doesn't create plot holes. It just adds flaws to characters that need them. Overall, the point is whoever killed the other would have guaranteed victory in their goals, whether they be protecting Konoha or Obito trying to destroy the world. Well, protecting Konoha isn't Itachi's main goal. He kind of secured that part already with Obito. Like I just kind of went over that. And Obito isn't really trying to destroy the world, right? Like, I think up to a certain point, Obito was actually going to revive Madara with the Rinnegan, and he kind of had to groom Nagato for that. So if he has to groom Nagato and Nagato is just not ready to, take up the mantle, or he's not ready to commit suicide to bring Madara back. Maybe he's just not thinking of that, because his goal is to save the world, right? I genuinely think the only reason Obito killed so many people in the fourth war is because they were literally like getting in his way of trying to put everyone under Genjutsu. So whoever won the fight to the death would obtain perfect. What? Would obtain perfect Susanoo? How did we get here? Oh, I guess he thinks like EMS grants perfect Susanoo automatically. Well, that's just not true. Like, we see that with Sasuke. And I become the strongest shinobi in the verse at that time. That is true. Yeah. The fact that neither did this is obviously for Naruto to be the main character, but that's regardless. The story shouldn't even have happened. Yeah, I just don't agree with this. Like, it's almost like he took Naruto and then just made it worse in every way. He was like, okay, how can I break the narrative? Okay, I know how I can break the narrative. Let me take these characters completely out of character, take context away from all their decisions, and I'm left with this, where the story stops before Naruto even is born. Or no, he would have been born by that point, but the story just stops. It's like, bro, of course it's like that. Like, you can do this with any story. Any story. There's no story that is completely like perfectly written. Yeah, anyway, I'm gonna get off. I'm not gonna keep making fun of Mr. Dom here. I guess I'll leave the Twitter thread linked in the description if you want to maybe quote retweet him or something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here now. Like and subscribe and have a nice day.